and welcome to Diaspora Network, the show that showcases Nigerians abroad who are doing fantastic and amazing things. We bring you the men and women who are high up there in politics as well. And don't miss our special feature on Chi Onwurah. She's the Shadow Minister, Digital Science and Technology, a woman in the diaspora, and high up there in politics as well. Now, just before we go into the show and show you everything that we have for you, let's take a quick look at the news of the week.
Influential Nigerians from across Britain were joined by prestigious guests at a reception hosted by Ambassador Sharafa-Tunji Ashola, the Nigeria High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, following his meeting with Her Majesty the Queen, where he handed in his credentials, solidifying his role in the country. Baroness Scotland, the Commonwealth Secretary-General, highlighted the significance of the occasion.
Was it 1 in 3 Africans are Nigerian? And if you look at most of our DNA, I don't know of anyone to date of African descent who has had a DNA test who have not found that they are part Nigerian. Indeed, I am part Nigerian. So I think this is enormously important, this strength, this bond, this relationship that there is between Nigeria and the whole of our Commonwealth family, really important.
This sentiment was echoed by Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Greater London, Sir Kenneth Olisa OBE.
The more we can build the ties between London and Nigeria for trade, for investment and so on, the stronger we can build on our roots. So the links are really key to us, and that's at the business level. Clearly, politically, it's very, very important. The most vibrant country in Africa, the UK, post-Brexit, needing to build more trade links and so on. So we've got the platform, there's mutual respect, we just need to build on it. I heard him give a speech when he first arrived, and he spoke about the importance of the diaspora and using the diaspora's intellect and talent and wealth to support the home country and vice versa. And my goodwill message to him is, welcome to London, you're going to enjoy yourself here, but your mission to build that power of the diaspora is just perfect for the time.
Congratulations to the Ambassador on his new post. More celebratory news now, and this time it's for Career Nuggets founder Moronike Ajayi, who's been recognised in the Queen's New Year's Honours List with an appointment to the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire for services to race equality and inclusion. Moronike has used her professional achievements to assist workers from the black and minority ethnic community to gain meaningful employment across the country through her advisory and guidance social enterprise, Career Nuggets. And we end the wrap-up with, you guessed it, more congratulatory news. This time it goes to Senior Game Guard Ranger at the Yankari National Park in Bauchi State, Sulaiman Saidu, who received a Tusk Wildlife Ranger Award from Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, at a ceremony in central London. Yankari is Nigeria's richest wildlife site and home to one of the largest remaining elephant populations in West Africa. Taking a zero-tolerance approach, Sulaiman has driven down cattle grazing in the reserve, clamped down on corruption and drastically reduced levels of poaching.
Suleiman found out about the award about maybe 2 months ago, but he was told to keep it private. He was excited, but he doesn't know the degree of how big the award is. With a holistic view of managing the protected area, they are able to squash down poaching in the reserve. We are able to see a slow recovery of wildlife and lots of support from the communities because they see the benefit of living alongside wildlife. So things have changed. That is why they are able to make this progress.
What a wonderful way to start the year. Juliana Olayinka with the Diaspora Network News Wrap-Up in London.
There's a Nigerian high up in politics in virtually every continent of the world. Let's meet some of the men and women who are elected on the different continents.
Honorable Kelechi Madu, popularly known as KC Madu, is a Nigerian-Canadian lawyer who has distinguished himself with numerous wins. He is the first Canadian of African descent to become a Minister of Justice and Solicitor General of a province in Canada. He is also designated Keeper of the Great Seal of the province of Alberta and Provincial Secretary. Prior to this, he served as Minister of Municipal Affairs and was appointed as a Queen's Counsel, a highest honor awarded to lawyers who've made significant contributions to the advancement of law and society. Honorable Madu was elected in the 2019 Alberta general election to the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, representing the electoral district of Edmonton Southwest on the platform of the United Conservative Party. He was born and raised in southeastern Nigeria and attended the University of Lagos and graduated with a Bachelor of Law and called to the bar in Nigeria. He moved to Edmonton, Alberta in 2005 with his family, and after a few years in Canada was inspired to go into politics because of the opportunities that greeted him when he first arrived to a then foreign country. Some of these opportunities he describes as a functional and working economy for both high, middle, and low-class citizens. Esther Agbaje, Nigerian-American attorney and member of the Minnesota House of Reps. 36-year-old Esther Agbaje was born in the Minnesota state capital, St. Paul, after her parents migrated from Nigeria. She graduated from George Washington University and received a master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania. Agbaje worked for the U.S. State Department, where she traveled to the Middle East promoting issues including the rule of law, freedom of expression, and women's rights. She returned to the U.S. to attend Harvard Law School, where she decided she wanted to make an impact closer to home. Her passion for providing people with fundamental human rights like housing for the homeless led her into politics in America. In 2020, she ran for a position at the State House representing a diverse district in downtown Minneapolis and emerged winner, joining the list of lawmakers who are first or second generation Americans of African descent elected to hold office in the United States. Agbaje hopes other young women will consider running for office, particularly those of African descent. She says there is no perfect time to pursue one's dream but to take a plunge. Tony Iwobi, member, Italian Senate. Born on April 26, 1955, Tony Iwobi is a Nigerian-Italian politician elected to the Italian Senate in 2018. Iwobi, who is of Igbo descent, was born in the city of Gusau in northern Nigeria. He completed a degree in economics with specialization in marketing and business management in Manchester, England, and moved to Italy on a student visa in 1976, where he obtained a degree in accounting. He also has higher degrees in computer science from the USA and Italy. Iwobi, a true supporter of federalism from back in his days in Nigeria, became a member of the Lega Nord in Italy, where he was inspired particularly by Gianfranco Miglio. In 1993, he was elected municipal councillor for the party in Cipriano, a position he held until 2014. From 2010 to 2014, he also served as assessor with responsibility for social services. Iwobi was in 2014 selected to draft Lega Nord's new immigration policy, which had a hard stance against illegal immigration and played a big role in the party's campaign in the Italian general election in 2018. In the 2018 general election, he was elected to the Italian Senate, becoming the first black person to take a seat in the Italian Senate.
What incredible resumes. Well, the charge is go out there and participate, and that call reverberates even now, particularly in the run-up to the 2023 elections. So everyone says participate. Other people say it costs money to do so. So you know what? We decided let's take a look at just how much it costs to run.
Since the dawn of democracy in 1999, elections have been the way to go when it comes to choosing political leaders, both at federal, state and local government levels. And the role of election conduct majorly rests on the shoulders of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
The disqualification of decision of the ticket.
Apart from the responsibility of the electoral body, security operatives, civil society organizations, election monitors, and others involved in the process, aspiring candidates are a major factor. For the candidates, one thing that has been exponentially on the rise is the cost of elections. A recent report shows that Nigeria's elections have become the most expensive in the world, with the cost soaring from a little above 1 billion naira in 1999, Nigeria's first democratic election year, to over 100 billion naira recently earmarked for the 2023 general elections. Just like the general cost of running elections, the amount of money required for candidates to express their interest in running has also drastically increased. For instance, in 2007, candidates contesting to be president in the general elections were each required to pay about 10,000 naira for expression of interest forms and 5 million naira for nomination forms. However, as of 2019, presidential candidates were required to pay over 4 million naira for expression of interest forms and about 45 million naira for nomination forms, and this is just a takeoff point for more spending. 34. For an ordinary Nigerian without access to millions, representing their constituency or state can only be a dream. So why is there no cap on spending? Interestingly, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria stipulates conditions regarding the sources of funds and the ceiling for expenses incurred by political parties. The 2010 Electoral Act stipulates the sum of 1 billion naira for the presidential seat, 200 million naira for governorship seat, 40 million naira for senatorial seat, 20 million naira for the House Rep seat, 10 million naira for state assembly and local government seats, and 1 million naira for councillorship. It also forbids political parties from receiving foreign funding of any kind and demands annual reports of accounts from political parties. This attempt by INEC to contain the cost was largely unsuccessful as at 2019, as many political parties failed to cooperate with the Commission in terms of being transparent with their books. So far, INEC is yet to investigate, persecute, or sanction erring parties and candidates for alleged infringements. Meanwhile, in some countries like the United States of America, there's a cap on spending couched within federal campaign finance laws, as well as stiff penalties for election crimes. Some policymakers in Nigeria have suggested the domestication of the Electoral Amendment Act's high-level post-election assessment, expansion of campaign finance monitoring, and tracking to address the growing cost of parliamentary politics. This debate still rages on in the run-up to the 2023 elections, but what is clear is that spiraling prohibitive costs make politics exclusive. They ensure power remains in the hands of the rich and powerful and shut out the hope of representation of vulnerable groups who are already underrepresented, such as women and youth.
I spoke with the Shadow Minister, Digital Science and Technology about some of these issues that have been raised. Let's show you how it went when our cameras went to Parliament. We're in Westminster, right next to the Houses of Parliament, and it's here that we find the Nigerian, British-born Labour MP for Newcastle upon Tyne Central. She's also the Shadow Minister of Digital Science and Technology. She's a Nigerian in the diaspora and up there in politics. As a female in politics, she had a lot of views about inclusion, about culture, and about diversity and what it means to be in the diaspora. Let's listen to her as she tells us her very interesting perspective about life in politics. We find MP Chi on Parliament grounds as she rises to her feet to do what has become her passion, representing those who elected her to serve.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to congratulate the Digital Minister on retaining his position and welcome the new Secretary of State to hers. It is a wide-ranging and critical role, not least because we need our broadband. Parliament, our businesses, our students, our economy, our social lives depend upon it.
She was born in Northumberland, but when she was still in her infancy, the family moved to Awka, eastern Nigeria in 1965. Just 2 years later, the Biafra War broke out, bringing famine with it, forcing her mother to bring Chi and her sibling back, while her father stayed on in the army. She graduated from Imperial College in 1987 with a degree in electrical engineering and worked in hardware and software development for a variety of mainly private sector companies in the UK, France, the United States, Denmark, and Nigeria, where she played a big role in the development of the telecoms infrastructure for MTN Nigeria. She was elected as Member of Parliament for Newcastle upon Tyne Central at the 2010 general election in the country. She described Parliament as a culture shock, but also said that compared with her engineering background, Parliament is the most diverse working environment she's ever been in. Up on Diaspora Network, our full interview with Chi Onwurah. She talks about politics and life as a female in politics. Thanks for sitting down with us and making the time out of the busy schedule. I know you're still busy with parliamentary business, but thanks for doing this for us. You've been an MP now since 2010. What are the issues that have been most interesting for you, and what kind of experience has it been for you?
I went into politics, I grew up in Newcastle. We were a one-parent family because our family was separated after the Biafran War. In fact, during the Biafran War, grew up in a lot of poverty in a council estate, and my mother, who was very sort of politically interested, made sure I understand that it's only by politically struggle that we could benefit from. I had a great state school down the road. I grew up in a council house. When my mother had cancer, her life was saved by the NHS without any, cost to her. So I was always interested in politics, and the particular reason why I sort of went into politics in 2009 was because the MP for the area that I grew up in Newcastle was standing down, and I thought, if I'm ever going to represent the people I grew up with, which is what I wanted to do, then now is the time to do that. I'd also say, and maybe we'll talk about this a bit more later, but I'd been working in Nigeria from 2000 to 2004, and I think that really helped me understand how important, the state and the public sector is in providing, the right environment for jobs and for growth and for people to be able to realise their full potential. So that's another reason why I was really keen to stand. And I studied at Imperial College in London. There were I think 12% of women on that course in electrical engineering. It was really challenging, being the only, it was only when I worked in Nigeria actually that I wasn't the only black person in the room generally, and being the only woman, the only black person, often the only person of working class background, that it's really tiring always being the exception, if you like. But having said that, and that was a challenge, being an engineer, and I went into engineering for the same reason I was interested in politics. I wanted to change the world for the better. Engineers do that, whether it's telecommunications or building bridges or making sure, we have access to clean water. So being an engineer was a fantastic job, and one of the things I'm proudest of, for example, is my role in building out Nigeria's first GSM network. I got a call asking me to go to work in Nigeria, and I really just could not say no, because it was something I'd always wanted to do, and it was, in some ways going home as well as going abroad. And I'll say that I had the least it was one of the best experiences of my life, whereas, in France and the US, obviously there was culture shock, and one of the things with MTN at the time was encouraging diaspora sort of Nigerians to come back to work for them. So there was quite a few others in the same position as me, and yeah, there were challenges, and there were, I think there was, there were some concerns by engineers and others who were, if you like, still living in Nigeria about why were people coming from abroad and getting better jobs, not that and things like that. But I think it was good for MTN, it was good for the company, and it was a great experience for me, and I loved living and working in Lagos.
What are the critical lessons that you think you've learned and that you can share, on the Nigerian continent? For instance, when you look at our leadership and you look at legislation, what sort of experience do you think you can bring to the table as well? One
big barrier is that how much it can cost to run politically in Nigeria, or two actually, how much it can cost, and there's an age limitation, and I support the not too young to run campaign, because I think that Nigerians of all ages should be able to represent their communities. And myself, as a Labour Party candidate, I had to spend very little money of my own money. I think I spent about £300 of my own money to get elected, because the party supports that, and because there are regulations, rules about how much you can spend. It has to be tries to be a level playing field. And I think that talking to Nigerian representatives, then representing their issues is much harder. I grew up, if you like, at the bottom of the sort of social scale when I was a kid. Being young, black, female from the north, working class, in a council estate, in a council home. The reason that I became, well, firstly an engineer and then an MP, I think there's two real reasons. It's the sort of the love and support of my family, and that that's something that you can't replicate, the state can't replicate. But then it was also excellent free local education, and so it is education for me that can enable any people. It's what enables people to reach their full potential, and there's just so much talent out there that is wasted because the educational opportunities aren't there. And then looking at our politics, what inspired you to go into politics, and how has your journey been, being female and then being a politician as well? And what message would you give to young ones who want to go into politics but are afraid of the word politics? We're here today in Parliament, and if you're walking around, you'll see that most of the paintings, the statues, they're all of men. So nothing feels like it's about sort of women or about, and I think that's a real barrier. But what I'd say to any, woman who, I'd say two things really, just look at the politicians around you. You can do better than them. They got into that position through a combination of luck, sometimes hard work, but often the privilege of where they were born or who their background. You can do better. You can do better than them. Whatever challenges you think you faced in your life, they are part of the reason why you will do better than them, because you will be bringing that experience to Parliament. And the other thing I would say is that things. Decisions are made by those who show up, and unless we take part, unless we, I know there are challenges now. It is not a level playing field. It's not open. It's not always fair. But unless we take part, we won't change that. What sort of message would you want to give out to not just the population, the Nigerian population in Newcastle, but what message would you want to be giving out from the diaspora? I would say, in the UK, for example, those who've lived in the UK can vote from abroad for 15 years after they move abroad. So there's a limit on it, but the idea that simply because you're not in a country for whatever reason, for working or for whatever, that you have no interest in that government and also nothing to contribute, I think that's basically wrong. I think that those who have grown up in a country, those who are part of a sort of country's history as well as the country's future, like the diaspora, is an incredibly important part of Nigeria. And looking at your website, you're all things Newcastle. So if we were going to say, how would you make one of the cities in Lagos, a mini Newcastle, what would it take? I suppose I'd ask every city in Nigeria, what is your story, and can you set it out in a few lines? What makes you both unique and special and an important part of your country's future? And then, you know, it's up to Nigerians and the diaspora and everyone to be championing those stories. Stories are what sort of communicate to people. So my parents moved back to Nigeria in 65, you know, and I think they went with the part of the, you know, the hope and the enthusiasm, you know, because of the new Nigerian independent state. And when you think of that promise, you know, which was in itself kind of limited because the process, if you like, of decolonialization was neither sort of fair nor complete nor extensive, you know. I mean, but now you see Nigeria is seen as, you know, as a future superpower, really, economically speaking. And I think, so I suppose the message, you know, and I think, you know, is that we spent a lot of time talking about the Nigeria of the future. It's time to make that a reality now. You know, that takes, it takes a lot of things, hard work, commitment, investment, but it also takes sort of unity and leadership. And that's what the world sort of expects from Nigeria. And that's what Nigeria's friends and the Nigerian, you know, diaspora that I'm a part of is looking for Nigeria to assume the place it merits on the world stage. I should say, just want to send a message from the Nigerian community in Newcastle, which is strong and vibrant, and it's one of the reasons why I can at least now regularly enjoy jollof rice, which is one of the things I miss most about living in Lagos.
Well, if it cost a British MP £300, that's less than 200,000 naira to get elected, then certainly we can do more to reduce the cost of political participation right here in Nigeria. That's the show for the week. Thank you so much for staying tuned. You can catch the show online as well. It's www.channelstv.com. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. Let's do this again some other time.